To the Jonesboro Rotary Club. Larry's off and out west visiting his family, and I'm stepping in and trying to see if I can handle it for the day. I don't have any Yogi Bear quotes today, but I do have a thought for the day, which is the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of our relationships. Think on that? Like that.
Easy crowd.
Call on Zach to do our invocation.
Everyone, join and bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Just thank you so much for bringing this group together, and just so very blessed to be here and be a part of this organization that does so much for our community. And we just ask that as we all leave today and we go in our different directions, that you walk beside us, that you point us in the right direction, that you keep us safe, and that you lead our meeting here today so that we're focusing on the right things, and so that we're moving forward and doing good for everyone here and for the community here in Lee County. Just ask that you bless our time, bless this food to nourish our body. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks, Zach. Call on Van.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Don't have a lot going on here today, but we do have, I think this is maybe the third time we've had John and Nancy
Just John and Nancy.
Pulaski.
Just John and Nancy.
Pulaski from Utica, New York. Let's give them a big round. We have got them application for the club, right?
It's just a
We
transfer.
have 4 weeks left.
Okay. Does anybody have any announcements today? Chad, you got an announcement on Saturday?
Yeah, I have enough. I can make a couple of. One is, tomorrow night, Tuesday Night Music Club is playing at the Smoking Barrel. What time is that, 9 o'clock? Starting at 9 o'clock. So you come out and enjoy some live music, it'll be awesome. And then Saturday morning, we're doing our float. It's gonna be flat water, it's 2.6 miles. The current river level is low, it's about 175 cubic feet per second, so that means you're real relaxing, and you might wanna I wear a bathing suit and some type of old tennis shoe, river shoes, flip flops. Basically, we'll hold the boats while you get in them, so you won't really have to do anything but just sit in your boat and lightly paddle. It'll be awesome, and that's about it. I mean, you might wanna wear some sunscreen and a hat, but other than that, we'll take care of everything else.
So where are we gonna meet and what
We
time?
meet at, does everybody know where the Camelback Bridge is, Deep River Park in Cumnock?
Yep.
Does anybody not know where that is? Off 421, it's the Cumnock Road exit, which is Cumnock. Once you turn on the Cumnock Road exit, you'll go all the way to your first stop sign, and the parking is immediately on the left. It's easy to find. But we'll meet there and try to be there 15 minutes early, and then we'll have all the boats already set up in the water and ready to go, and we'll show you over there, and then I'll go with you on the tour and give you some of the historical stuff. And there's a rope swing, it's sketchy as crap looking, if you wanna do it. Kids got a ski rope under the bridge, and I've seen people doing it like 7 years old maybe, and it looks awesome, rope swing, so whatever. I'm not doing it.
Alrighty, sounds good. Thanks, Chad.
Okay.
Any other announcements come before the club at this time? Terry?
Yes,
Sir.
I have posted the last 2 meetings on YouTube. So since I used to teach high school, if you have your cell phone, I like for you to whip them out and type in Jonesboro, North Carolina Rotary Club. And you'll see the last 2 meetings on your cell phone. You can pull it up on your cell phone. So we can tell our president, he can go on and get credit for this particular meeting. And this particular meeting today will be up by 7 o'clock tonight on YouTube.
Very good. Thank you, Terry. Okay, anybody got anything there? wanting to brag about today? Any brag?
I'm glad, so I just owe you $1.
Good for you. I was gonna say, for all your hard work, I think you should keep your dollar bill and take it. Stacy?
Yes. My daughter has officially transferred to the University of Georgia and is loving the big campus. Huge change from where she was in at Brenau University, a little tiny campus and all girls. So now she's called co-ed and having a good time, but keeping up her straight A's. So.
Fantastic, Bob, yes, sir.
Yeah, this is a kind of a brag and a thankfulness because my wife was in a terrible auto accident last Friday. She was and she's doing okay, but she was at the corner of 751 and Old US 1. Pulled into traffic, pulled out, and didn't see the car coming from the left side, and got smacked, T-boned. And her car, according to the guy behind her, her car was knocked 20 feet in the air, and flipped over 360 degrees and landed on its tires. It's hard for me to believe that happened, but I wasn't there. But that's what I was told. Fortunately, all she did was break her lower leg fibula, which doesn't even require a cast, and contused her chest from the airbags and stuff like that. But I'm just thankful that she's still alive.
Wow.
So the brag on a good work.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Brag.
I might have one later, and if I do, I'll pay you.
Recite your back and forth, yeah.
All right, well, I
If
think.
I win, then I'll pay it and I'll
I like that. And Joy's our speaker today. I figure we're gonna get to that in just a moment
So
here.
you're not gonna do good on YouTube, I'm sorry to say.
Okay, any other brags come before the club at this time?
I got one, Dale. Show you how things go around. I just merged, or Susan Bailey just merged her practice with my practice. She was practicing out in Broadway, kind of got tired of dealing with the practice, so we're just 5 miles down the road. But to circle it all back to here, when I first came to town, Susan was on maternity leave. We were working for the same company. She was a franchise. And I came to buy my godfather's practice, so I filled in for her when she was on maternity leave. And she brought me to my first Rotary meeting, which was like back in 2002. So, but anyway, we're back together again. And everything was happy as of yesterday. You want me to get her back in Rotary?
Get her back in Rotary.
I'll work on that.
The only announcement I have is our chicken barbecue coming up on September 12th. Right now, things are going very well. The only thing that we're in need of is probably a couple more cookers. We're probably gonna need a total of 6 or 7, and we've got 3 at the moment. So if you know anybody who has one that's available that day, let us know. We'll get it out there and get it going. So today, 6 W's belongs to Howard Bucko. So you can come up and
Well, I've got some notes trying to keep me from wandering around, and I think I can beat Larry's time. I was born in Oskaloosa, Iowa, on a small farm. The youngest of 6 kids. And a lot of you heard this when I did the presentation about my trip to Holland. But my father was a Dutch immigrant. Both my parents had 8th grade educations. I'm the only one in my family who never attended college. I went 2 years to college, ran out of money, dropped out, and worked construction. I worked for a carpenter. We had a 3-man crew and framed over 50 homes. So I had quite a bit of experience of that. Then I worked for, saw some down at the hospital, putting in water and sewer lines. I did that for a while. So basically for about 2-3 years at that point in my life, I did 3 things. I worked construction, I drank beer, and I rode my Harley. So far, I've got one of those out of my system. At age of 22, I was managing a retail furniture store. At the age of 25, I was self-employed as a manufacturer's rep in the furniture industry, and I traveled the 2 states of Iowa and Nebraska. Being self-employed, I started investing with the Edward Jones office in Newton, Iowa, and got to know the representative there, and was recruited to come to work for Edward Jones, and moved with the agreement that I would relocate because the firm wanted to expand out of the Midwest into the Southeast and the Northwest. And having been in High Point every 6 months for the furniture market, they said, well, you know a little bit about North Carolina. And I told them I wanted to be in a town of somewhere between 15 and 30,000 people, somewhere within a radius of a decent sized city. And Sanford matched up some of my criteria. So in 1983, at the age of 31, I drove to Sanford and I started knocking on doors and ringing doorbells and started the business from scratch. In 1990, I was able to go to the UNC business school without a bachelor's degree, but I got an MBA and graduated in 1992 with an MBA. In 1994, Edward Jones, our firm, asked me to be a regional leader for the southeast fourth of the state, and I was invited to be a general partner. My responsibilities were to recruit, match up veterans with trainees, do monthly newsletters and regional meetings 4 times a year. I did that for 13 years till 2007, in addition to running my office here in Sanford. I've spun off other offices off of my office, so that we now have 6 offices for Edward Jones in Lee County. I'm married to my wife, Patty. I have a son living in Winston-Salem. I have 2 granddaughters, and I have a stepson who is about to begin his freshman year at West Virginia University in about 2-3 weeks. Why I joined Rotary? I joined Rotary because while I was studying for my MBA, I couldn't make the Thursday night Sanford Lions Club meetings, so I was a Lions Club member. And Brooks Pomerantz asked me if I'd like to be a Rotarian because we met at lunch instead, and been here ever since. A hero, one of my heroes would be a man by the name of Gene Stoll. He was a carpenter that taught me the carpentry business, but that's not why he's my hero. He taught me that I could do a lot more than I ever thought I could. And that's kind of stuck with me most of my life. Memorable experiences, I really kind of narrowed it down to the 2 that stick in my mind. One was in 1989, I was one of 6 Caucasians walking around Tiananmen Square with 300,000 Chinese students. We were the only Caucasians in the square. That was just a memorable experience. The other one was after hours, when it was closed, there were 30 of us got a private tour of the Sistine Chapel, and then we had dinner on an upper level of the Vatican where we could have a private dinner and look out over the city of Rome. That was pretty memorable. Things that I don't think you know about me, there's probably a lot of things, but I have struggled with shyness for most of my life. And being in the business that I'm in has really helped me work through that. I still struggle with that a little bit. Just kind of I think this is a wonderful country. I think this is a great place to be. You can do pretty much anything you want to do if you set your mind out to it. There are not many countries you can say that about. I'd like to think that Sanford and Lee County has been very good to me, but I'd also like to think that I've been pretty good for Sanford and Lee County. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Howard. And I think it's a great idea that Larry started doing this, because me being somewhat new to the area also get to learn a lot about you guys. So that's great. So, Bob, are you introducing the program today?
Thanks, Dave. I have a quick Howard Backo story. I was a young, still wet behind the ears banker at Sanford Savings and Loan, and Howard came into town, and a real estate agent at the time, Edie Kimmery, many of you remember Edie Kimmery, was helping Howard look for houses, and he hadn't found the house he wanted, so to make sure that he didn't buy a house from anybody else, she took Howard and installed him in her house. I think you lived with him for 4 months. So,
They became my surrogate parents.
that's right. And she kept her eye on Howard, so he didn't, and he did eventually buy a house from her. So, and I helped finance it. So I'm really pleased to be here today to introduce Joy Thrash to you. Joy is you see her title as interim CEO at Saga, but we hope that interim will go away soon. Joy comes to us from a career in helping businesses. She has been Chamber of Commerce executive. She was part of the senior leadership team for the Fayetteville Regional Chamber of Commerce. And then for the last 6 or 7 years, she has been at the North Carolina Defense Business Association, which is a professional trade association similar to a Chamber of Commerce for the defense industry and that business community around the new development at Fort Bragg. She's been with us now a couple of months, and already you can see some of the effects of her changes. So she's here today to talk about the Sanford Area Growth Alliance and update you on what's going on with us. So please welcome George Rash.
Thank you. Now your YouTube thing is going to be like shot for this. But, thank you for the opportunity to come and speak and let you know more about the Growth Alliance. I've had a great time in the last 2 months. It's been exciting, but the most exciting part is coming into a community that everybody seems to be working together and working for the same goal of growing the community and moving it forward. So it is just exciting to see how poised it is and ready for growth. The one thing I wanted to do, and I'm glad that we have this opportunity to be able to explain the Growth Alliance, because it's the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development combined, but I thought in order to do that, it would be a good idea for you to understand how we got to this point. So with that, I've sort of forced Bob to have to come back up and tell you the behind the scenes story. I could tell you, but I was not here when it happened. So I know I've told people about Bob that Bob can help me with economic development because he knows where the bodies are buried and tells me where not to dig, so we don't dig any others. We can't develop there. But with that, before we get started, I'm sure some of you have already heard this, and there's a press release that's going out about it. So I'm bragging now to say that I am pleased to let you know that Bob Joyce will be moving from the chamber side of the house to become our economic developer for the organization. So congratulations to Bob. And congratulations to the community, because it just made natural sense that he would be the person doing that with the wealth of knowledge that he has about the properties and the assets that we have to offer our industry folks looking to expand or move into this area. So we have some candidates we're looking at for the chamber position now, but we've now been able to announce that Bob is taking on that role. So with that, I'll let him start the presentation with some information to get you where we are today.
All right, we'll give you a little bit of history. Everyone knows in our community that our bread and butter has been manufacturing, and for years we were the most successful small community in North Carolina in recruiting some of the best known companies in the world to come here and make things. And we have had this 100-year reputation for being a community that makes things. So we've had this going for us for a long time. And we have some other things that are going right for us now. Until, for those of you that moved here after 1996, before US 1 was open to Raleigh, we were not connected to anywhere else in the state by a 4-lane highway. But our transportation system is much improved, and I will tell you that one of the things that the Growth Alliance is working on is we have a provision in the DOT budget in this section of the legislature to raise the speed limit from Colon Road to I-540 to 75 miles an hour. And I got a smile out of the chamber board when I told them we were working on that. They said, well, we already drive 75 miles an hour. What good does that do? But it does allow us to market that we are connected to an interstate by a 75 mile an hour expressway. So again, it's all about the marketing. But as you all know, we've got a great airport. We have the 9th busiest airport in North Carolina in terms of takeoffs and landings, not passenger enplanements, because we don't have passengers at our airport, but we're a very busy airport. We've got an excellent school system and a superior community college system. So we've got a lot of things going right for us. But we were telling our outside customers a very confusing message. And this was a slide that was put together by Second Century in 2008. And you remember the Second Century group was a private group. They raised about $125,000 and hired a marketing and branding expert. And then they came in here and said, you got a lot of things going right, but you are not working together. So we had all these logos, we had people going in all kinds of different directions, but we didn't have a central vision for the community. So out of the Second Century effort and study came this idea that we needed a vision and we needed an organization that would pull all that together and start working for economic development. So we've done that, and as you go around town, you can see that the logo that Second Century paid for has been adopted by various other organizations. And just as Howard mentioned, when he was looking for a community, he was looking for a place that was well-centered, and he found one, and that's the tagline that we use, and the swirl with the arrows that point inward. Our consultant that we hired in 2008 told us that our best advertisement was the North Carolina Department of Transportation, because he said as he drove into Sanford for 60 miles in every direction, there were signs that said Sanford, 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 Sanford. So instead of branding ourselves as Lee County something, we branded ourselves as Sanford. Also, those of you that have been here since the mid-90s remember that when Hal Seiler retired as Chamber Exec in 1994, the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development were separated, and Economic Development became a unit of county government. And since that time, even though we worked together, we were located in separate places, the budgets were separate, and there was no common planning done. So those two efforts began to come together, and in 2013, we had the idea that we would merge the Chamber and Economic Development. We first called it the Lee County, actually we called it the Sanford Lee County Partnership for Prosperity, but by the time you answered the phone that way, the person on the other end hung up. So it was really a mouthful. We decided it was not a good marketing name, so we ended up with the Sanford Area Growth Alliance. And we had, this is just, I won't read it, but we had a 2-year process really of appointing people to a task force and going through all of the studies that had been done previously. We ended up with a program of work that was approved by the City of Sanford, the Town of Broadway, Lee County Commissioners, Chamber Board, Economic Development Corporation, and community college folks. So as Joy said, everybody's on the same page now with this program of work and pointed in the right direction. And then at this point, we brought on her and started building the team. So I'll let Joy come back up and take
You
it
want
over.
to talk about the capital campaign?
I will. So in 2008, Second Century said we needed a vision plan, and then we need some private dollars invested. So we began to work on that. We hired a consultant who came in and surveyed industry here, and industry said, yeah, we'll help you raise some money. And then in 6 months, the economy fell off the cliff in 2009, and of course, our manufacturing community was hurt as much as anybody, and everybody in this room knows we went to 16.5% unemployment. So we really put off those fundraising plans, but when we went back to do it this time, it was very easy. We had a goal of $1.2 million, and we raised $1.3 million. So we're really pleased with where we are now. So not only do we have the chamber budget, these private dollars, and we also have the public dollars that went into the Economic Development Corporation. So we have enough resources now to hire some additional staff to do the work that's necessary to sell our community. So with that, I'll call on George.
Thank you. So, as you can see, why it's so exciting for me is because all of that work has been done to get us to where we are at this point. And so, what I want to just talk to you about real briefly is where we are now with, we refer to it as SAGA, but the Sanford Area Growth Alliance. And to let you know sort of how we are comprised and the team that we feel like we have in place. And obviously, we're ran by a board of directors. The SAGA board of directors runs the organization. The chamber still has a board that focuses a lot on membership and business development for the members, but the board of directors for SAGA is the group that actually has fiscal and management and policy. And then also we have the staff, and I just mentioned to you a staff change that we have going on. But after we are able to put our chamber person in place, I think that the staff will be full staffed and we're ready to go. We have a great team in place, good camaraderie. Everybody's focused on fulfilling the program of work, so it's real exciting. And then as Bob mentioned, the investors, our chamber members, we have working committees that actually are able to give information to the staff and the board for suggestions on programming and that kind of thing. And then obviously our volunteers. And then you'll see our partners. And as Bob mentioned, you know, when we were doing the program of work, we had to have folks that was helping in the community fulfill some of that program of work, especially when you think of things like workforce development and that kind of thing. So you can see who our partners are that we reach out to. They're an integral part of the program of work to make sure that we're all fulfilling this and moving the organization forward. Some successes that we've had just in the last couple of months, we've have our website up. It's growsanfordnc.com, so take a look at that. When you go on the website, you'll see an economic development area or a chamber of commerce area. It shows that we're working together. And then also we had a membership campaign for the Chamber of Commerce that exceeded our expectations, and now we're over 500 members in the Chamber of Commerce and well on our way to a goal of, 625 by the end of next year. So if you're not a chamber member, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you to join the chamber. And then a Duke site readiness visit. We had Duke come in and assess the site at the industrial park and to let us know if it was ready for someone to come in and if it would be a site that we could actually market, if they would be willing to market it with us. And we found out that they are. They're going to come back the next couple of weeks and give us a final presentation to talk about how we can market that site and how they'll help us with it as well. So that's exciting to think about prospective industry that we can market to coming into the area. And then the upcoming projects that we have and we're looking at, one at the bogey factory, and the reason that we have that is that we're going to be moving on the second floor of the bogey factory, and that's exciting to us. It'll be probably the January time frame, and when we do that, we're probably going to have an open house for you all to come and visit us. So it's exciting to see that coming together. I'm trying not to think about the move part, but just excited to think about moving into that facility. And then the Visitors Bureau and the Tourism Development Authority is sort of tied together. If we have the funds for occupancy tax, then we'll maybe be able to develop a Visitors Bureau that would be good to bring people to Sanford as well. Asset inventory has to do with industry and economic development to determine what do we have to offer, not only just in buildings and land, but also in infrastructure as far as high-speed broadband. Thank you. See why I have to have Bob here. And just the sites that are ready for the area. And then the streetscape, you all know if you've been downtown, that's coming together and hopefully will be completed by the end of the year. And then multi-sports complex, which would tie in nicely to a Visitors Bureau and tourism focus. There has been a report on that, and I think that the city's looking at how they can implement that. So it's exciting. I was riding with one of the staff the other day. She was taking me somewhere, and it was about 5 o'clock, and she said, "I've never seen it so busy downtown." And I said, "Girl, things are happening here. Don't you know that?" So we're excited about what's going on. I'll answer any questions that you have, or call on Bob to answer them, as you can tell. But it is exciting, like I said before, coming in to a community that is poised and ready to go. Everybody's together and excited about what's going on. And I know it's taken a lot of effort from a lot of people to get it to this point. So I get to come in and enjoy the labor of a lot of folks and hopefully be able to work to take it forward and help see some goals come to fruition. But if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Now, is the thrust of this manufacturing, or are you also involved with restaurants, retail? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So actually, part of our program of work is to focus on how we can bring more retail into the area as well. And thank you for mentioning that, and the fact that one of the reasons that this works nicely is that when we're able to bring manufacturing, I'll speak to, into the area, and you think about employing folks, or if someone expands and you're able to add jobs, when you think about the chamber members who are the retailers that have, florists or jewelers or restaurants, then we have people that can spend more money in those places and they complement each other.
Yeah, I haven't seen this in either the Herald or the N&O, but one of my friends asked me, and he had heard a rumor that SAS was considering developing a facility down here.
I'm not aware of that.
Huh.
And if I was, you'd probably have to shoot me if I told you so.
Oh.
I have to shoot you if I tell you, that's why I have to shoot him. And I have somebody that can shoot you right here, so.
Right. Now,
Yeah, that was probably Chatham Park, I would think, which is east of Pittsboro. So when they say down here, that would be eastern Chatham County, which the owner of SAS Institute, which is Goodnight,
Yeah.
Jim Goodnight purchased all that land and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know that that was a Lee County reference, but it may have been eastern Chatham. But don't know. Yeah.
This site that Duke's looking at, is that industrial park? Or is
Okay.
It is.
it industrial park?
It-
They have somebody picked out?
It joins our current industrial park. It's about 350 acres that, if you're familiar with our industrial park, it's behind Challenge Printing along the new road. That it's an extension of Clyde Ryan Drive that goes from Womack Road out to Coleman Road. So we have put together about 350 acres, both sides of that road. These would be smaller sites, 20, 30 acre sites. And the advantage of having Duke certify those in advance is that then somebody that buys it knows that a lot of the hoops have been jumped through already before they are ready to build one.
Do you have another question?
well, I guess I was, just as a citizen, you're referring to Duke Energy, I take it.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. So, I guess I'm having different emotional lights go up with me when you mention Duke Energy right now. I mean, I almost came off the couch watching a commercial about Duke Energy that I think was assuring folks in the East what a good job they were doing with cleanup, and I was thinking, yeah, at whose cost? But you have to partner with them, I guess, is what's happening here. And
But it's not a partnership, we're not partnering with them, it's just that, there's another aspect to Duke that.
there's some good guys.
There's some good guys.
Okay, good. Okay, good to know.
I won't say any of them are bad guys, but there's some better guys that deal with helping economic development, because if you think about, for them, if they bring a manufacturing company to their area with a supplies service, then that's obviously helping them. So they come into areas and pick out different communities to say, we'll come in. And they're looking at things, I mean, it's an intensive application process to go through, that you have to talk about water and sewer and power lines and how ready is the site, and just a lot of questions. And then you actually have to present it to them like it was a site visit, and we went through all of that. The good thing about it is, because they feel like the site is ready, they have a program, part of the program within this is that they'll give the community a $10,000 grant, matching grant, that if someone will upgrade or do something at that site, then they'll match it by $10,000. So there's, we hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of that opportunity. But we're not partnering with them, we're not obligated, but the good thing is that as they're talking to site selectors, they'll say, hey, we have a site here if they know about it. So we're not any obligation to them.
Has our direction, it appears it is changing somewhat away from industrial recruitment like we've done for years and years and years. And it appears we're going more to a service economy or bedroom community to the Raleigh Research Triangle area. Is there still gonna be that commitment to recruit a lot of industry as we have in the past, or are we gonna go by way of the Johnston County or Chatham County, which ends up with a lot of houses, a lot more people and service industry jobs, but nothing really to build the tax base lessens the strain on the school system.
I think the goal is to the industry. I mean, you know, you have to have a balance. You still want retail coming in, and you also have to grow housing for the folks that come in, for places for them to live. But our focus is industry, and that's one of the reasons why I think the Growth Alliance was put together the way it is, because, you know, that's where the tax base comes in, that's where growth for the community comes in. And, you know, right now we're working on, 7 projects of interest. So it's one of those things you can't talk about because the clients don't want you talking about it. And sometimes it's just superficial interest and it turns into legitimate interest that they may come here. But, and that's a lot of work that we've had through the Department of Commerce. But now that we have named our economic developer, we'll actually be proactive in recruiting folks to look at sites that we have. So I think the economy overall, not just for our area, but just overall has stopped some of the growth of industry and people moving and relocating, but I think that's picking back up and can tell you that we're ready for them to move here.
Yeah, there were also a few businesses, so let's say are making plans on coming into the community, which probably do not project a good image for the community. How are you handling that?
Well, I'm not familiar with, so I can say plausible deniability, but as a business person, I never want to turn down opportunities that come, and you can't tell somebody, I guess, that they can't come here, but I don't know who you're referring to.
Are you talking about like some kind of strip club or something? Like
No, I'm talking about things like
Coal ash.
coal ash.
Oh, well, that's not a business.
It's a business.
Well, that's just a place to dump it. That's
Well,
not
they're
an
trying to
ongoing-
dump it in our community, but it is a
No,
business.
but when you said a business, I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about like, opening up a storefront
Yeah, it is a
location
business.
that was doing something. Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, so taking that into consideration, probably with that situation that's larger than us to be able to, have an influence on, but we're certainly wanting what's best for the community and I hope that works out. So I'm being very vague in my answer because I think that's might be a dinosaur that we can't have much control over in our capacity. Other folks have to determine that.
But how would you handle it? And there are some other quote business opportunities that are threatening to come into this county, which would not project a good image. How do you
Well, I guess what we
handle
would,
that kind of
I guess
thing?
what we would have to do at that point is to talk with the leadership of the Growth Alliance for one, the city, the county, and determine if it was a strong effort that the community did not want them. You would just have to tell them, sorry, but we can't accommodate you here. So
Well, do you
I don't.
hear from other people who are interested in coming here that they're concerned about the coal ash, or
That's not been an issue of anything that we've talked about.
Okay.
For anything that we have been approached about, nobody's had that concern at all.
Joey, thank you. I hate to interrupt, but
Thanks.
time is near and trying to get you on top.
Thank you.
And we will, in your honor, we will give a donation to our Folio Plus campaign in your name. So thank you so much. Chad.
All right, we have $64 today. That'll pay for some kayaks. Did you play?
Yeah, real quick. I was met with a lady or two ladies, big advocates of what's going on with the coal ash, and they gave me a lot of really interesting resources and data, which I scanned and sent out to a lot of Carolina Trace residents this morning. And Carolina Trace will hold like a town hall, just informational meeting on July 31st at 6 p.m. Just FYI.
Thank you.
8225. 225. Last three.
I got the A2 part of
Joey, Nancy, thank you so much for being here today. Come back as many times as you possibly can until you head back to New York. And Bob, congratulations. Can't think of anybody better for that position, the way that you handle things and as much as you love this place. Good luck, and I know things will be forward. Thank you. Anything else for the good of Rotary? All right, in that case, I'll be just in the 408 test. Things we think, say, and do. First.
In the truth, in the fair and all concerned, will build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know, I need to
Well, that's another one. The third one is practice. But there's several. And there's